Welcome to the Learning League podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl Powell, CEO of Learn to Engage. This is a show that challenges the way we think about leadership, learning, and performance in today's fast moving world. Today, we're exploring a topic at the core of every successful business: the financial clarity and strategic focus that allow entrepreneurs to grow with confidence. Our guest today is Bridget Long, CEO of Bridget Long Companies and a global advocate for financially empowering sole traders and micro businesses. With more than 35 years of experience across multiple markets, Bridget has built and scaled companies from Paris to India and earned recognition as an award-winning entrepreneur and TEDx speaker. She now helps business owners create stability and predictable income through her 90-day peak performance program. In this episode, she shares practical insight on clarity, mindset, and the habits that lead to sustainable growth. Welcome, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for having me here today. I'm really excited about sharing these next few minutes, and I'm really grateful to be able to do so. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's just such an honor. When I shared that you were going to be on the show, it was hundreds and hundreds of people that were just, so excited. So I'm going to jump right in. We're going to start with your journey. Every journey has a turning point. What moments guided you towards the work that just lights you up today?
Yeah, so I think we've all had pivotal moments in our lives, but the really um, clear and t turning point for me was in 2010. So a little over 15 years ago, and I'd been running bricks and mortar businesses for over 20 years. But at that point, we just navigated the big economic crash, and in fact, I separated from the father of my children, and I found myself as a single mother and sole provider with no business and starting literally from ground zero. So
Yeah.
it was at that moment when I think the whole journey of what I do now and who I've become really, really started because became suddenly very cognizant of the fact that all of this was incredibly stable, relying on, predominantly on somebody else, even though I'd
Yeah.
co-run the businesses with my ex-partner, and I had to
Mm.
take full control of my own situation. And that was very
Yeah.
scary because I didn't have any resources. I had to start all over.
Mm.
So yeah, when that happened, I mean, and you don't realize it immediately. It starts to sink in over, days and weeks, and as the months go by. But ultimately, that was
Yeah.
definitely the big pivotal point. Yeah.
That's huge and
Yeah.
quite the realization. So as you move into going through your journey and moving into who you are today, you feel that that really shaped you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it is a moment when there are suddenly very few options, if only one, and that is I either give up
Yeah.
and and you know just let go of everything, or I take control. I square my shoulders and I move forward, even
Yeah.
though I don't know exactly how.
Right.
I had to really drill deep on the inner courage because that was the only possible way to get through this.
Hmm.
And that was, I think in a way, it was almost even, it was a blessing, a
Yeah.
gift, as well as, a huge challenge because I
Yeah.
had to really, really face that, that fork in the road was I could either give up um, and just not do anything, or I can really take control of my life. It's time to be, a fully fledged grown up, and this is the time now that you're going to have to do it. So, and there was a big why behind it. That my children, my family, I really, really wanted to be able to provide well for them. But not only
Hmm.
that, I wanted to also be the example of, in the face of great adversity,
Yes, there it is.
over overcoming it is possible. And I believe that's probably the biggest legacy that I can leave to my family, is to be
Yeah,
the example rather
yeah,
than, telling them to do this or telling them to do that. You have to show them, you have to live the mission. And that was
yeah,
really, that didn't come straight away, but later on I realized that this is a
yeah,
huge, I want to be, the example. Yeah.
yeah. That's beautiful. A lot of people come to you because they're searching for direction, purpose, alignment.
Yes.
What's the first doorway that conversation naturally opens?
Yeah. So I think that over the years, what I have become is, first of all, I care deeply. And I believe that people feel that when I'm engaged in a conversation. It's very easy to show, you just listen very attentively.
So true.
And not just what people are saying, but the way they're saying it, even through
What they're
Zoom,
feeling.
what they're feeling intuitively. I think as women, we have a very strong sense of intuition. And when we really lock into the other person, listen really attentively, they will open up because they feel that they can trust you and that you are genuinely interested.
That's right.
And I think it's as well about guiding somebody along the path, because people want, actually they do want direction. They
Hmm.
don't want us to be directive, but they do want some kind of a direction that they can go in to feel that they can open up. And that comes through good questions.
Right.
You know, I often have a very simple way. I say, tell me what you love about what you do. Tell me what brings you joy. Why
Hmm.
did you choose this path? And
Yeah.
and then ultimately, what's the biggest challenge? And when they can really see that I'm interested in their journey and what they've done
Yeah.
and why they do it, and then I come in with, okay, so that's amazing. Now tell me what's the biggest challenge. Everybody will open up after that.
Yeah.
And then we can really get down to the core things that's making them afraid or confused or frustrated or whatever it might be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, right? What is standing in your way? Because sometimes it's you.
It's always you.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned myself. I always say, listen,
Yes.
if I am coaching you, if I'm working with you, if we're collaborating, it's because I have walked in your shoes hundreds of times. I
Yes.
feel you, know what it's like. I'm not here opposite. I'm side by side. Yes, I have done this, and
Yeah.
because when you're talking from a perspective of experience, it's very, very different.
Yes.
And again, that authenticity, that integrity really does come through. And that's, my obsession is, authenticity, integrity, baseline values that you can always work from, and transparency as well. I mean, I will be
Yeah.
very, very honest that,
Hmm.
it hasn't always been a happy journey. Um,
Yeah.
but, uh, but when we have a strong why, we can overcome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a gift, to be able to speak honestly and transparent with someone, even though it might be something hard to say to them.
Yeah.
It takes a special person to do that. You
You
have
have
a
to create a
unique
safe
quality.
space. Yeah, you have to create a safe space and to know that whatever they're going to tell me, that what they feel, they can tell me anything, because I will never judge.
Yeah,
As I said, I have walked in their shoes. Um, there is nobody who doesn't face some kind of a challenge.
yeah,
And I believe that entrepreneurs, small business owners do face a very special set of challenges.
yeah,
And it's really where my deep passion goes, because I know that there is a way out because I've done it myself. Yeah.
yeah. In this fast changing world of wellness and entrepreneurship, can you think of any struggles that rise to the surface for people right now that they're going through?
Well, I think that there are many, many struggles. One may say that there are a unique set of struggles, but actually, with my 3.5+ decades of entrepreneurship, they might change, they might change shape and form, but the underlying struggles stay the same. The basic principles stay the same.
Right.
Um, they for the most part, what I see anyway, and this is just me, my words. They very passionate about what they do. They love what they do. They love their businesses. They love their services. They love delivering, whatever it is they promote. But they really struggle with consistent client acquisition.
Okay.
And that is genuinely that response when I say, what's your biggest challenge? That will be the answer in some way, shape, or form. And that is not a new thing. Um, and that, what does that lead to? Okay, so
Yeah.
that's just the surface problem. The underneath problem is uncertainty, fear, sleepless nights,
Yeah.
confusion, running after too many things, thinking there's
Yeah.
something wrong with the product and that there's nothing
Yes.
wrong with the product. So they're always looking for the reasons outside of why it's not working.
Yeah.
But first of all, there's a lot of inner work to do, and then there's the
Hmm.
structural organizational work to do to put things into place so people understand where the revenue generating activities are. And I think that's
Yeah.
where I can help people make a difference to have clarity. They need clarity on what do I do when
Yes.
I get up in the morning to move the needle forward. That's what I
Yes.
want because even if there's work involved, when they have a structure, both in terms of their personal growth, their skills learning, and their
Yes.
business actions, and they have a plan that will fit in around then other non-negotiables, because not every,
Right.
some people will have young children, or they'll have, they'll have a part-time job or a full-time job, and they're doing this as a side
Yep.
hustle. Everybody
Yep.
has different availability, but when they have
Yep.
some kind of a structure and a plan that they can follow, it brings
Hmm.
a peace of mind and it brings a feeling of security and certainty. And that's
Yes.
really where we need to start. So even if they don't necessarily have the results straight away, at least then they can say, oh, okay, well, at least now I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what I'm going to do through the day.
Yes.
Right. And that
I
that
can
brings,
so relate with
yeah.
that. There was this was a tough year, for everyone, and there was a point where I was doing that. There were free workshops and free webinars, and everyone said that they had the answer for getting clients, right? So I was, going through the workshop and then trying to implement all of those different things, and it doesn't work. It's You're off in so many different directions, you just lose focus. So I
Yeah, yeah,
completely relate to what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I
Yep.
think, working trains, training doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's better to be in imperfect action than to sit and try and learn all the get 10 clients in 10 days, whatever
Yeah.
it just just doesn't ethically have any foundation to it.
Yeah.
And I come back to the core central message that I have is that, listen, I have done this before to generate multiple millions in my business. It's a daily
Right.
system. It's not rocket science. It can be done in an hour a day, or it can be done in 12 hours a day. It's like a
Right.
concertina system, right? You
Yeah.
can fit it in whichever way you want to fit it in.
Yep.
And like, oh, okay. So, oh, this actually works because you've done it. You haven't just done a course and now you're teaching that course to somebody
Right.
else.
Right. Yeah, no. This is
Yeah,
way more than that.
yeah,
35 years of experience and building out multiple companies across the world. That's way more than you learned a course and got a certificate.
yeah, absolutely. And and a lot of you only really say, I say, some days you win and some days you build character, right?
Yes.
And,
True.
most days character building, to be honest with you, or every day's a
Yeah,
school day, right?
it is.
It is not for the faint-hearted. In fact,
Yeah,
I've literally just come off a call with my daughter, and we were talking about she has a corporate job, and she said the one thing about you, Mum, she said you're incredibly self-motivated, and your
yeah,
consistency makes my eyes water. She
yeah,
said, "How do you be so consistent?" I said, "I just
yeah,
am." So, yeah,
yeah,
that's the big challenge is being consistent when you don't get the results straight away. Yeah.
yeah. Well, when I think of, you talk about freedom a lot. And when I think about freedom, for me, I think about the freedom to write more books. I write fiction and I would love to write more books and travel. And
Yes.
so less hours working on the business, right? Or in
Yeah.
the business.
Yes.
Um, but the idea of freedom means something different to everybody, right? So, how do you help someone discover what their version of freedom truly looks like?
Well, I have a very simple exercise that I was taught myself and I used myself and now I teach to other people because ultimately all we're doing is paying it forward. So we're business owners, so we're here to make money, right? End of. So then it's about the question I start with is what is your freedom number? Right? What's your freedom number? Is it
Mm,
a total sum of money, like $10 million, dollars, or is it
mhm,
$50,000 a month, or is it an annual income? We need to come up with one figure
mhm,
because when you have one central point
mhm,
of one particular thing and then attach it to a timeline, we have a sense of direction.
mm,
Okay. So it's a little bit like you get in the car, you've got to go from one destination to another. You put in the destination you want to go to on the sat nav and you follow the instructions,
right.
right? And you don't know the entire roadmap and every twist and turn and right turn and left turn and
Right.
highway that you're going to take, but you know that no matter what, your destination is here and you want to get there by this time of the day. All right.
Mhm,
Now, sometimes that time will vary because there'll be traffic jams. There might be a burst tire. There might be a diversion. You don't know, but it doesn't
mhm,
change the direction. Hence the reason I say your goal is set in stone, but the timeline has to be set in sand. It can move a
yeah.
little bit. But the
Right.
key is not to lose sight of the direction of where you want to go. But
Right.
there's a second part to it. So let's, for arguments, to round things up, I want to make clear $1 million a year, right?
Mhm,
Let's just use that as an example.
right.
Then 98% of the journey is why? What does that mean to you and your family? What would your life look
Mm,
like? Do
what
you
would it
want that
look
to be
like?
linear income or residual income?
Right.
Partially residual, because residual income is when obviously it's coming in without you physically actually having to be in situ to deliver your work, right?
Right.
Which is having a business asset rather than a business. So it's very different.
Right.
But
Very different.
you have to pay your dues and go
Mhm,
through the linear stuff before you start getting
mhm,
in the residual stuff, right? Because a lot of people just want to
right.
jump straight away to that. And I know it is
Right.
possible. I know it is possible, but I think that learning how to onboard, how to market properly, how to sell, and all the rest of it is a huge skill. And then we can
Mm,
ultimately look at a way that we can scale. And that, of course, with today's technology, there are multiple ways that we can do that. But
yeah.
it's good to start with a number. And then why
Mhm,
do I want it? So my exercise, in fact, I did this with my team this afternoon, then write out 15 to 20 reasons I want this because. So
mm,
in your case, I want this because I want to travel more. I want this because I want to spend more time writing my books. I want this because I can contribute to this particular charity. I want this because I can, go and get a full body massage, spa, facial, blah, 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 every single week if I want to at the highest five-star hotel. I don't know, whatever it is. I want this because. And that
right.
why I want it, as per
Mhm,
Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, is
right.
98% of the journey.
Right.
Because if the why is strong enough, we can endure any how,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it has to be, as far as I would say, existential.
Yes.
This is a hill I'm willing to die on,
Yeah.
right? And there's a great poem, and I don't know the whole thing, but it starts with, I
Hmm.
will not live an unlived life.
Hmm.
You
Wow.
know, so when we get to the, when we're 98 and we're in our rocking chair and looking back at our life, right?
Hmm.
Taking stock, right? Doing the inventory, did I go and see, sort of like the I don't know, the stars in Chile, or did I go to the Rocky Mountains, or did I go to China?
Yeah.
Did I do all this? If not, why not? Oh, because maybe I didn't go through 5 to 10 years of really doubling down, getting
Hmm.
clear, going through the skill drills, going through all that. But would it have been worth it if I, put 5 to 10 years away to do that, to be able to
Yeah.
be completely free then for the rest of my life?
Yes.
Right? So I think that's really probably what drives me a lot, as I'm well into my sixth decade now, is to
Hmm.
say, I'm in the final third of my life,
Hmm.
and every day counts.
Yes, it
Every
does.
day
Yes.
counts. And
Yeah.
so when I finally came, because
Mm.
youngest daughter finished college last year, and my why was to put my children through private school and college and pay for it
Yes.
myself through my business, right? It was a burning
Yeah.
desire. Didn't
Right.
think and grow rich, having a burning desire, a burning
Mm.
obsession, right?
Yes.
When that was suddenly over, I was like, oh my goodness, I need a new why.
Yes. You've
I was like,
accomplished it. Now what?
yeah,
Yes.
now what?
Wow.
Now what?
Mm.
Hence the reason I wrote,
Congratulations on that.
yeah, you will. When you live, breathe, eat, sleep, and drink it, it's okay. But freedom isn't free. You
Hmm.
have to be willing to pay the price for
That's
freedom.
right.
Otherwise, you're
That's
going to be
right.
slaves to chaos for the rest of your life, either a
That's
boss,
right.
bank, or a boyfriend,
That's right.
right? And so that's really what money is. It gives you freedom of choice.
Yes.
That's all it is. It is a vector for freedom of choice.
Yes.
Right. And so we make
Mm.
choices, not whether we can afford it or not, but because we want the experience.
Yes.
Right. So we want to be in that position. And for that, it's helpful to have
Hmm.
a North Star goal.
Yes.
Or as I mean, I work very much with the philosophy of Think and Grow Rich. He calls it a definite main purpose. Just choose
Hmm.
something, anything.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter what it is. I mean, for some people, it will be win an Olympic medal. For some people,
Yeah.
it will be, I don't know. Well, like for me, it was, pay for my children's education. It doesn't matter what it is, but you need one thing to give you that point of focus.
Yep.
Everybody wants more money, a nice house, travel more, blah, 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 but you need to get definite and specific. And that's, as I say, that what's
Yeah,
what,
that's pretty broad. I've learned that this year.
yeah,
That's broad. I need to dig deeper, for my
yeah, yeah,
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that when we put a number on it, it's
Yes.
easier then to build out the why underneath it.
Yes.
Right. So let's
Yeah.
say, for example, you put down a million, you wake up in a year's time and like, oh, I made $1 million last year. Dang. you
Mm.
know, Happy days. Okay,
Yeah.
so I can now go and take 2 months off. I don't need to work. I can go and do that travel. I can just sit down and do my books. I can visit my, whoever it is I wanted to for ages, or go on that trip,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. So it really is positioning ourselves into that future self,
Yes.
and feeling that. And when that feels joyful and free and
Yes.
exciting, you feel enthusiastic, then you're just like, okay, I've got it. I've got the feeling what it's going to be like when it's actually manifested physically in my
Yeah.
reality. And we can work from that point of, excitement and fun and choice and freedom and joy and,
Yep.
all those wonderful things. And that's when we have that, it's amazing how
Hmm.
actually the road map just unfolds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And synchronicities line up, and we meet people who are cooperative components, and we end up being
Mm.
directed to like videos or books or resources that all collaborate with that because it's like
Yeah.
a laser, right? So when you have light and it's very wide, there's no real force to it. But when you have
Yeah.
a strong, all it is intensive light, isn't it? It's the same
Yeah.
thing as the
You're
power.
it's just amazing, the transformations um that you help people achieve, in their businesses, which leads me to your mission, which is just, to me, I feel like your mission, you always say this, is to pay it forward. And
Yes.
and so many missions are fueled by a deeper connection to community or service or charities or causes. Do you have any that are integral to your mission of paying it forward?
Well, I still do quite a bit of pro bono coaching.
Yeah.
I do help people. I give away resources. If you look at so let's look at I'm getting to that. But if you look at the numbers in the UK,
Hmm.
there are 5.5 million small and medium enterprises, right? That
Okay.
constitute 99.8% of the gross domestic product, right? The GDP.
Okay.
So basically, every single amount of income money that's generated in the UK is done by small and medium enterprises. So
Wow.
they're important.
That's amazing.
Multiple trillions. Okay.
Wow.
So what we're looking at here, and it's I know it's a little bit different in the US, but we're not far off it. But let's just because
Hmm.
I'm aware of the UK numbers. So my skill, my absolute skill is to work with a small business owner or say a company of about 5 people. A
Yeah.
medium enterprise go up to 250, but this is my
Hmm.
little niche. All right. I'm,
Hmm.
I'm, I'm good at this niche. The whole thing about it is we all want to contribute. We all want to give to charities. We all want to help whatever is important to us. Okay.
Yeah.
At least 10% of our income. Right.
Right.
So if I can help more people to make more money, all of whom become are people who want to also give a part of away,
Also
then
give.
you see so
I
we
get
all
it.
give it,
I
not just
get
me.
it. Yeah. So you're you really know how to look at the satellite view, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Because
Yeah.
the best way I can give back is to empower other people financially so we can all give back more.
Yes.
Right. And it's my greatest skill. So it's much more efficient to use my greatest skill than to spend
Yeah.
3 days a week in a homeless shelter because that's not my greatest skill. I would rather, like 400 of us all give 10% of our income to the homeless shelter to people who are really good at that.
Yes.
And they're going to
You're
be much
right.
more beneficial than if I just give my 10%. I mean,
That's
I give my
true.
10% anyway, but isn't it better than I go and financially empower another 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people who can then see that's the way I look at
Yes.
it.
Yes. That's something else. Um, okay, let's turn our attention to your clients, right? So some of them might come to you feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure of their next move. Can
Yes.
you tell me what shift in mindset tends to open new possibilities for them?
So, I mean, mindset is everything, right?
This is your I've heard you speak about mindset before, so everybody watch out because uh she's about to go deep.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, just when I after I sold the business in 2010, I trained as a personal stylist, which led me to the big business that I have now.
Hmm.
And there was a personal development book as part of the required reading of the course, and I'd never done anything like that before.
Okay.
And I remember reading, thinking, wait a minute here. who I am, so well, life is a mirror. So I've attracted this to myself. No, that's not. I mean, the
Yeah.
resistance went up, and I was just, but I was fascinated to start to learn about the psychology and the metaphysics of this whole thing, right? And the invisible forces and the law of attraction, and your word is your wand, and all these. I was like, wow. Oh my God. And fighting for our limitations, because we all do that. So, oh, I'm no good at tech. Oh, I'm absolutely rubbish at doing video. I mean, and we wear them
Yeah.
as badges of honor, right?
Yes.
Right. I'm so proud of myself. I'm terrible at making videos. It's just like, why? So there was a deep, deep, deep fascination for, okay. And then I started to learn about things that, had the prefrontal lobe, and how when we're up to the 7 years old, that we are programmed
Mhm.
literally by the people that raise us, for the most part, our parents. But then we have teachers and siblings and aunties and uncles and, cousins and neighbors and all the rest of it that have this
Yes.
deep, deep, deep effect on our brain, that make these deep neural pathways in our brain that program, for the most part, us for the rest of our lives until we die. And I'm just like,
Mm.
oh, that can't be
Oh
right. So,
man.
so then it was just like, right, I'm not going to go down a psychological rabbit hole on this, because the good news is there is a way out, and it's called neuroplasticity. And if I
Right.
practice new things enough, I can rewire my brain to think more
Mm-hmm.
abundantly. I can rewire my brain to be more self-confident, to have more self-appreciation, and all that. I was
Mm.
like, okay, well, I better get to work. How hard can that be? Turns out really
Yeah,
hard.
it certainly is.
As we say, it's like doing personal development. It's like showering. We recommend it daily.
Yes. I
And
mean, if you've been thinking the same way your whole life, yes,
yeah,
it's going
and
to
we
take
do.
hard work and training
Yeah.
to reprogram.
I mean, when you look at the extreme example of what the mind can do to the body, it leads it
Mm.
sometimes to self-annihilation,
Yes.
right? So the mind is like a muscle, except it's 10 times, a million times more powerful than, your biceps or your abs in the gym or whatever. You just have to
Yeah.
train it.
Yes.
And the training is if you want really deep, deep change, to say
Hmm.
10x your income or 100x your income,
Hmm.
you've got to take it seriously, just like the Olympic athlete does, who trains for 15 years, every
Hmm.
single day of the week for its entire life, to have 1 minute
Yeah.
on a podium with a gold medal around his chest.
Hmm.
Right? It's the same for us. It's not easy, and it really shouldn't be. But we have that privilege to be able to take back control of that, and with study and with practice and with discipline and with learning and being willing to change and moving forward, it is possible. And
What?
there's lots of resources and books and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Like, you have so many resources or authors that you refer to. Um,
Yeah.
what is there anything that you would recommend? And what would be something that you could tell yourself to reprogram your brain when it comes to being on camera, for example, with social media? Because I meet with hundreds and hundreds of people every week who say, "No, I can't do that. I'm not, you know, I don't want to do camera."
That's about self-esteem, and that's about self-confidence.
Yes.
Um, so when I started training with really high-level people, I read 20 of them, the highest paid people, most successful people that were there, and they were all asked in these interviews, what's the best book that you recommend that really changed it? And about 18 out of 20 said Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. All right.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, I think I'm going to read that book, clearly,
Yeah.
because they were results. And I started to understand, the whole philosophy of it. But I was very, very new, and I didn't really, because he talks about something called The Secret underneath it, right? Which is, of course, he's talking about the law of attraction. But in 1937, when it was published, he couldn't publish that because it was too woo-woo, and they would have probably locked him up, and that would have been the end of that, right? So
Is that
I had to be
true?
very careful about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh
Absolutely.
wow.
And then I really developed an insatiable, thirst for learning more and understanding why money, over and above everything else, is the hard money mindset is one of the hardest things to change.
Mm.
Because in terms of our health, yes, we can still have problems, but we can make physical changes in a day, what we eat, what we choose, what we drink, how we sleep, et cetera, going to the gym, taking walks. We can do that immediately, right? And
Hmm.
we can make changes pretty quick, 30, 60, 90 days. You're going to see an improvement no matter what, even if you don't change your mindset, right?
Right.
But with money,
Yeah.
it's a mindset thing because money ultimately isn't really real, especially now. It's just numbers in a phone when you
Yes.
think about it.
Yes.
So money is actually a belief, pure and simple. And changing our beliefs does take more things. So I started to
Hmm.
so Think and Grow Rich, the science of getting rich, and then I discovered Louise Hay's work, right?
Okay.
So Louise Hay wrote You Can Heal Your Life. She was an incredible businesswoman. She
Hmm.
had a house, a publishing house that she started when she was 61, and it was the
Okay.
biggest publisher of personal growth and self-help books in the world. And
Wow.
so she's somebody who I really, really admire. And she had a whole bunch of can of worms that she had to go
Hmm.
through, right, to get to where she
Hmm.
was.
Hmm.
Started off with a very, very simple sentence, which is, I love and approve of myself.
Hmm.
Because we are so conditioned to fight for other people's approval, where
Mm.
the self-esteem comes in, because we're never going to please everybody all of the time. And
Yeah.
particularly women, it is always about self-confidence.
Mm.
Have to find ways to build your self-confidence. There's the self-confidence formula in Think and Grow Rich, for example. I love and approve of myself. There's mirror work. And I think it's really, really important as well to be incredibly particular about who you associate with. Seek
Hmm.
out confident people. Follow confident people online. Look how they are and listen to their journeys and how they overcome it. It's not just one route to Rome. There's lots of different
That's
ways of
right.
building self-confidence, but you have to
That's
keep
right.
working. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's because the people they don't have the self-confidence because they are afraid of being
Yes.
judged, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially on social media, because once you're out on social media, there is no control of what everybody else is going to say. And
No.
it nasty comments hurt, right?
That's right.
So you've got to be strong and
That's
solid
right.
inside yourself
That's
to,
right.
be able to do that. So really understanding, so, oh, it's just because I don't have confidence in myself. Okay, I can change that. I can change that. I can build
Right.
the muscle of confidence.
Right.
If we really want to,
Hmm.
it's not technical or intellectual or difficult, but it does require practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what about leaders, business owners? They're trying to build something meaningful. They want the freedom. What about some tips for helping them create stability and a life that supports, who they want to become?
Yeah. So stability is about consistent daily action, and
Hmm.
it is not about first of all, so there's two sections to this, very, very briefly. The first section is you have to be very clear and identify what are the actions that drive revenue.
Hmm.
Okay. Posting on social media does not drive revenue, right?
Correct.
It is just a way of showing social proof to bring credibility, but it will not translate directly into money in your bank account, right?
Correct.
So what are the revenue generating activities that I need to be doing, particularly first thing in the morning, in order to move the needle forward? So let's say, for example, you have a coaching program and it's a high ticket one-on-one, right? I'm just using this as an example.
Right.
So what are you going to be doing in the morning? You're going to be inboxing people to set up discovery calls. You're going to be
Right.
inboxing people to follow them up to see if they're open to seeing your a business presentation. You're
Hmm.
going to be emailing people back with a follow up. You're going to be going through your contact list and setting up appointments. Setting up
Yes.
appointments.
Right.
All right. That's when your energy is high in the morning, you're feeling pretty good, everything is, you're doing well. All right.
Hmm.
Setting up appointments, and that is what the biggest revenue generating activity is for somebody who
Okay.
wants to sell a high ticket, right? Because they're
Right.
going to take probably not just one appointment, but maybe two or three or four to bring somebody in, say, on a $10,000 or $20,000 ticket, right?
Right.
You're gonna do a bit of work for that. Then
Right.
in the afternoon, you do your appointments
Right.
when you're having your conversations and stuff. So because when you're in a conversation, it's very energy giving, etc. You don't need the same level of focus as you do when you're setting up your appointments, you're emailing,
Right.
you're sending out messages and all that kind of thing.
Right.
All right. And then in the meantime, there has to be, yes, you have to prepare some content. Some people prepare it all on a Sunday evening and then they spread it out during the week. I tend
Right.
to be a more fluid content creator. So,
I see.
if I see, if I'm on the beach, I'll take a video, or I was
Right.
walking on the beach yesterday and I had an idea and I just like pulled out up TikTok and I did a 20-second video, whatever it was. So
I
I'm a
saw that, by the way.
Yeah, so I tend to create content, but it's very much in my DNA now because I automatically create content every day. I just do it without thinking. I don't really even
Yeah.
need to plan it very much, right?
Yeah, I
But
like that.
and and then it's about organized planning. I'm not in a sense like I don't have everything in a spreadsheet, but I
Hmm.
do work. I'm gonna show you this. You'll be shocked. It is at the end of the day. That's my day, right?
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So I start here with um 6 a.m. and then I have hourly slots of everything I've got to do right through until tonight, which is 7 p.m. for me. So I'll be finished after
Wow.
this, right? So in the morning, my revenue generating activities. In the afternoon, I deliver
Hmm.
my products or I deliver my
Hmm.
training or I'll do more appointments. The time I take for a break, the time I'm going to go to the gym, everything is in there, right? That's me.
Yeah.
And on this
Yeah.
side is the universe.
Oh wow.
So that's what I'm going to like. So this,
Oh my
so
goodness.
I do my best and I let God do the rest, right?
Right. Oh my goodness.
And then these are like the small tasks I have to do during the day, and the ones in green are the ones I still have to do. As you
Yes.
all know, there's still three things
Oh
I need
my
to do,
goodness.
right? And then on the back are all the notes of the one-on-ones I've done today.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Then I transfer,
you're definitely a pen and paper gal.
yeah, but I do transfer them into digital as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah, I
find that when
tend to.
I write things with a pen and paper, I
Yeah.
embed it more easily because I like to remember things about people. And so when we meet
Yes.
again, they know that I remember. Do you see what I mean? It's a relationship building thing.
Yes,
Uh,
and they say that too. Writing, you remember better
yes,
when you write stuff. Yeah.
yes, yeah. And I enjoy
Yeah.
writing. I love putting pen
Yeah,
to
me
paper
too. I
and then
have three
suddenly
notebooks
they,
behind me.
yeah,
I
there you
like
go.
writing
So
too.
whatever works for us is fine, but we
Yeah.
need to understand the importance of the difference between revenue generating activity and lead generating activity.
Yes. And
Two
what
very
and what little percentage of your day is non-revenue generating, like doing social media, for example? Do you say it should be a certain percentage?
I mean, I'm not that precise, but I would say
I'm putting
so.
you on
Let's
the
say, for
spot,
example,
guys.
I have a call at, let's say, for example, I have a call at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. In the morning, I do my walking, I go, I do my gym, I do my
Yes.
meditation, journaling, and I'm writing a book. So I set
Yes.
aside an hour to get in the shower. So I'm on it by 9 a.m., having done all that before, right? So I have
Right.
my 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 9 a.m. to 5 and then 5 until 9,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
And so it's, if for example I have a call at 10 and I'm open, I start my work at 9.
Mhm.
That 9 to 10 a.m. is following up on messages, checking to see if there's any urgent emails that need responding to,
Yeah.
etc. Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Setting up appointments in the day if I can. If there's LinkedIn messages where people have messaged me from the US overnight, then I'll get back, set up appointments. All
Yes.
right. Very, very focused work. Then say, for
Okay.
example, I have a call at 10 and I have a call at 11, and then I might have another gap. back into my email, responding messages and stuff like that. I could get
Hmm.
up, take a little walk, or I can just, or my secret, I like watching the news. So I do watch, I'm very interested in
Oh
the
gosh.
economy. Yeah, yeah,
That would not be
I know.
relaxing
It's,
for
so,
me.
so, what I'm trying to say here is I do schedule downtime. Of
Yes.
course, of course I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I put in the time when I'm going to have dinner, and then I'll allow myself, 90 minutes afterwards to, I don't know, watch a movie or something on Netflix. Well, I mean, I do
Sure.
schedule me time in. Of course I do. Yeah.
Yes. I think, the bottom line, it sounds like what you're saying is that structure will lead you to stability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how you get stable. And then you just do it day in, day out. I mean, it's not always the most exciting way to work, but of course there is creativity with the structure, right?
Sure.
It's not just,
Of
there's
course.
plenty of ways like for creating amazing content or having conversations with wonderful people like you. I mean, it's
Of
it's
course.
wonderful.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
creative. It's inspiring.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
the structure is like a framework that gives me what I need to stay focused and on point of what I need to do. And I have,
Yeah.
basics, like minimum 3 meetings a day. That's my
Wow.
baseline red line numbers.
I'm
Minimum
sure
three meetings.
people are falling off their chair right now. they they probably have like 10 meetings back to back every day. I mean, I hear it all the time.
No, no, no. I do because otherwise it's just too much, right?
It's not
So,
productive at all. I don't know how they get their work done, but this is why they're working 60 hours a week because of that.
well, the whole thing is the first thing I say is if you're getting the results you want doing that and you're still okay health-wise doing it, keep doing it,
Right.
right? This is not my way or the
Mhm.
highway,
Yes.
right? I'm just saying what I do. I do a minimum 3 calls a day. Mainly I
Yep.
do about 5,
Yep.
right? But it can include online networking, discovery calls, pitch deck calls,
Yes.
follow-up calls, training
Mhm.
calls, right? But 5 a day is good. I can do 8 or 9 a day,
Yeah.
but honestly, life's miserable when you do it that long, that many.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm so happy when I signed up for Calendly. You're able to say that I only want this type of call during these hours on this day, and it really just helps you build a healthy schedule.
Absolutely. And when you're working on a big project, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You
Yes.
know, maybe my bandwidth isn't as large as, some people. I know that, they're massive producers. They could do the 10 calls and create the content and send out the newsletter and blah, blah, blah. But it's at the moment anyway, not in my bandwidth to work at that high level of intensive productivity. Maybe
Yes.
it's because I'm in Europe and we're all a bit lazier here. I don't know. Um,
I
Also, you've got
don't
to
believe
remember that
that.
85% of my income from my main business is from residual subscription income.
Right.
That doesn't take me much time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And, I want to set aside time to go to the gym, talk to my family, have a coffee with a friend or whatever it is. And,
Yes.
and so, have a face-to-face meeting. I mean, I can have a face-to-face meeting, which can take an hour and a half, but by the time I get there and the time I get back, the morning's gone kind of
Travel
thing. So,
time.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it will just depend on the day. But I think when you're working on a very, very big project, you've got to make sure that what you're doing on a daily basis, you can do it consistently for at least 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Well, this has
everyone's different.
been, go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, I just said everyone's different. That's just the way that I work, and it works for me. So that's
Yeah, I
okay.
mean, well, you said it already. You have to do what works for you, and as long as you're doing it and you're healthy and not burnt
Yeah.
out, um, you know, that's what's important. And I had a wake up call in 2020. I had a stroke. And so I know that working 65 hours a week nonstop with no type of boundaries or structure, that is not healthy. So obviously my whole work day is very different. It's very similar to yours. And so,
Yeah.
I learned the hard way. So I always tell people just um, remember that if you're not healthy, when you're working those, nonstop hours, um, your health will find a way to slow you down. It will find you
Yes.
and find you can't
Yeah.
go on like that forever. So just keep that in mind. Life is very short, so make sure you structure exercise and mental health and all that good stuff in there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it makes you
Well,
more attractive when you meet your prospects anyway, because they can feel the joy, they can feel the flow, they can
yes.
feel the health that's exuding from you
Yes.
when you're like a little burnt out in the middle.
Exactly.
It's just
Not a ball of stress. We don't want that when we meet people.
yeah.
Well,
No,
this
that's
has
not it's
been
not worth it.
such an informative interview with Bridget today. To my listeners, if you want to learn more about how to work with Bridget, connect with her on LinkedIn. We'll have all of Bridget's information and links posted in the description area below the video. Thank you so much, Bridget, for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful, and I'm so happy to have been able to be here.
Well, it was such an honor. And everyone, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Learning League podcast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're gaining value from my content. Until next time, bye.